Remember Jackie Walorski? I certainly do. I covered her death when it happened. Now she's back in the news because the president made himself look worse than ever on her account. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. As you might remember my saying, Jackie Walorski, represented Indiana's 2nd District, died tragically in one of the most common types of highway traffic accident there is. This happened last August, and President Biden should have remembered it. After all, he expressed official condolences. Now, I remember wondering at the time whether he was sincere, but he did express them. So why was he actually expecting to see her at a White House event yesterday? And how could his press secretary have dropped the ball after serving in that position long enough to know the extra duties the position now includes with this president of all people? Before we answer both these questions, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, including this t-shirt that I have selected for today, which depicts Biden in the foreground of a picture of an explosion and this caption, "I did that." One more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to know and want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do. Okay, now, as I said, I covered the Jackie Walorski accident for 2 days after it happened. She was returning from a ribbon cutting ceremony. One of her 2 aides, Zachary Potts, was driving. At a critical moment, he tried to pass a car on a 2-lane highway. Now, that's always a hazardous thing to do, and it goes double when you're already driving at or faster than the posted speed limit. He swung out to pass, and boom, ran head-on into a car driven by 56-year-old Edith Schmucker. Everyone in both cars, Schmucker, Potts, Communication Director Emma Thompson, and Representative Walorski, died. Now, this information was a long time trickling out, and the first reports even got the directions and who hit whom wrong. What I just recited to you is the latest, and it recalls one of the 5 scenarios from the old "Watch Out for the Other Guy" public service announcement campaign from the 1960s. I know most of you, even listening today, don't remember those. I do, and I'm going to quote a voiceover narrative from the short segment that is most relevant to her case. "Guess who Sid and Gladys ran into last weekend? Cue 2 horn blares and a screecher brakes. Hank and Marilyn." Now, I looked up the archives of the New York Times, and I found an interesting feature about that old WOFTOG campaign. Dated July 11th, 1966, Mr. Walter Carlson talked about how the Advertising and National Safety Councils had decided recently to get away from talking about aggressive and don't-care drivers who become positive menaces to everyone on the road, and talk about average Joes and Josephines who make one mistake in driving and it affects other people, in addition to themselves. That's what happened to Congresswoman Walorski. I've left a link in the description to my copy of Mr. Carlson's piece. Excellent editorial and relevant to modern times. I even have a link to a video of another segment from that campaign, just a general thing saying that accidents happen when otherwise good drivers make mistakes and other drivers aren't alert to them. Enough digression. As tragic as the death of Jackie Walorski was, the spectacle of the president forgetting she had died is worse. He should have remembered. After all, he issued a statement of condolence on the day she died. And this latest story shows that he would have every reason to be sincere. Serving as ranking member on the House Committee on the Standards of Official Conduct wasn't her only claim to fame. She also took part with several Democratic members to bring back the White House Conference on Hunger. Now, the White House hasn't had a conference on hunger since 1969, according to CNN. Now, I happen to believe that just leaving people alone would solve that and many other economic problems. But hunger is a typical Democratic issue, and she, Jackie Walorski, Republican that she was willing to have a part in it. So one would expect Joe Biden to pay her tribute yesterday at the event. Well, CNN, the New York Times, and NPR, and other organs tell us what he really did. Mark Stevens in Red Right Daily and Eric Woods Erickson have other comments. President Biden started down as any normal person would. He said, "I want to thank all of you here, including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Jim McGovern, Senator Mike Brown, Senator Cory Booker, Representative..." And that's when everything went sour. He said, "Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I think she was going to be here to help make this a reality." Where's Jackie? What do you mean, where's Jackie? Don't you remember making a statement of condolence? I mean, even the New York Times admitted that he did not correct himself afterward. I have a link in the description to a tweet with embedded video capturing that unfortunate moment. But even that wasn't the worst part. But before I get into the worst part, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. You feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You're not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, and unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Now, whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins, or take advantage of the business opportunities that company provides, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com to learn how you can build a legacy for your future. Now then, the worst part happened afterward in the White House briefing room. Several White House correspondents pressed White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre on that episode, and it went badly. Now, if a press secretary needs to cover for a boss who has had that kind of lapse of time orientation, surely she would have a line ready to feed anyone who asks. So when ABC's Cecilia Vega repeated Biden's lines, Jean-Pierre should have said, "The president was honoring someone who was there in spirit and who had taken as great a part in making this event possible as the other members of Congress he named." Well, that's not what she said. Instead, she said that Jackie Walorski was on top of mind for the president, and the correspondents wouldn't let that rest. And every remark she made after that became lamer than the last. Now, Mr. Stevens collected several tweets containing video clips showing how Jean-Pierre let her frustration get the better of her. And I have links in the description to 3 of them from Mark Stevens' article that capture video from the full session. These tweets have at least partial transcripts, so now I'm going to tell you how that interaction went. Well, ABC Cecilia Vega started it, as I said. She said, "What happened when Biden said, 'Where is Jackie Walorski?'" Karine Jean-Pierre answered, "The president was acknowledging her incredible work." So then Ms. Vega said, But he said, Jackie, Jackie, where's Jackie? She must not be here. And then, said Jean-Pierre in answer, no, I totally understand. I just explained. She was on top of mind. You know, this was what we were able to witness at this event was her focus on food insecurity. And Phil Mattingly of CNN then jumped in with his 2 cents. I'm trying to get my head around that response. Walorski was top of mind for Biden and her family was here and that's what he was thinking about? Why was he looking for her? So Jean-Pierre said, I think people can understand when someone is at top of mind. And now, if you watch the video, you can see that she's already getting more peeved every second. On top of this, CBS Scott Portnoy has to jump in. And he says, I'm sorry to do this, but I'm compelled to ask, one more time, the question about Congresswoman Walorski. So Jean-Pierre asks, I'm not sure why. Why? Why one more time? And he answers, frankly, the memory of Walorski and history requires some clarity here. Can you explain where the mistake was made? Did the president, was he confused? Was there something in the teleprompter he didn't recognize? Can you just help us understand? And she said, I mean, you're jumping to a lot of conclusions. Now, Whiskey, Tango, Foxtrot, did I just listen to? Excuse me, you're working at the White House for goodness sake. The White House, the place where the best and the brightest get to work. You're the press secretary and you know who sits in the Oval Office and what kind of man he is. Can't you cover for him better than that? And by the way, none of the legacy media outlets that I cited offered any excuse for her behavior, nor for that of the president. Now, Mr. Eric Woods Erickson, political junkie, suggested something even darker, that the president's staff are taking advantage of his infirmity to promote their agenda, and they are doing so against his better judgment, or instincts, as he said. But in this case, either they failed to brief him, or they forgot to remind him that Jackie Walorski is dead, or they did remind him and he forgot. So, what does this mean? Well, for one thing, it means America exchanged one old man as president about whom people tried to allege an infirmary for another who has removed all doubt on that score in his own case. This takes me back to medical school, and specifically to my core clinical clerkship on psychiatry and my nights on call in the emergency room. Joe Biden shows signs of losing orientation in all 3 spheres. In looking for Jackie Walorski, he lost orientation to time. We have also seen him lose orientation to place, this business of getting lost on stage. And he has lost orientation to person, forgetting who he is on several other occasions. When you lose that orientation, you're as bad off as you can get and still be conscious and talking. For another, it means we have a press secretary with the worst command of language of anyone who has ever served in that role. And for a third, maybe, just maybe, even the legacy media is losing patience with this president. Now that could mean something darker than one might suppose. They're never going to say Trump was right. Well, some might, most won't. But they might be trying to draft Hillary Clinton to run for president in 2024 instead of Joe Biden. True, she's a venal shakedown artist who often breaks alliances. I've said that myself. But at least you don't see her going off script like that. With this latest Jackie Walorski flop, Biden just went off script in one of the worst ways yet. So the legacy media especially would prefer someone who at least will stick to a script. Better the politician who knows who and where she is and what time and day it is, and one who doesn't. Link in the description of the article to Walter Carlson's 1966 article about the WOFTOG campaign, to that segment about why automobile accidents happen, to the tweet showing Joe Biden blowing it, and 3 tweets of Karine Jean-Pierre just making things worse, and the conservative news and views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to oursilverlines.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link and links to my 2 earlier videos about Jackie Walorski's accident, and that video giving that timeless lesson about why traffic accidents happen and how to avoid them. This is Terry A. Horville delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.